Hey church family, thanks for joining me with Tuesday with Ty. Today I want to show you one of my prized possessions in my office. It's not really a prized possession, but it sure was a lot of fun to win. This right here is my, it's almost like a Heisman trophy for me, but what this is my Fantasy Football League Championship trophy that I won in 2018. This fine trophy right here is to signify to all my buddies that I played fantasy football with that I was the grand champion. And I want to thank Patrick Mahomes for that, because without him I would have had absolutely nothing. But I do get to keep it in my office. It's a fun thing to remember, and when I see it, I remember that time of having fun and trash talking a little bit with Mike Brock and with Pastor Kirby Stevens over at the Assembly of God Church, and getting to have a little bit of fun with that. But that trophy serves as a milestone. It serves as a spot to sit down and remember something that was special that year. We have milestones in our lives, and we have milestones for a reason. I want you to think back to the first time your kid said your name. I want you to think back to the whenever you had your first kid. I want you to think back to that special moment whenever your wife or your husband, had that first moment of looking in their eyes and knowing that you're in love. And think about that game in high school where you hit the winning shot, or whatever it is for you. We have milestones in our life. God wants us to use milestones to remember the times, A, that He's been good to us, and B, times of testimony. I think back to whenever I got saved. I knew that I knew Jesus back in 2002, and I knew that I gave my life to Jesus then because I believed in God. I believed Jesus loved me. I believed He died for me, but I didn't have that as my personal testimony. Until that Sunday morning when the associate pastor at my church read off my name out of all the kids who've gotten saved and rededicated their lives at Falls Creek. I had rededicated my life, and he said that I'd gotten saved, and I got to thinking, when did I ever get saved? I knew I'd walked an aisle, I knew I'd prayed a prayer, but did I really accept Jesus and trust in Him with all my heart? And so that Sunday afternoon, I sat down with my mom, and she said, sometimes you do the right things, but you don't understand why they're right. And so I sat down with her and I prayed, and I said, Jesus, I know that you died for my sins, and I know that you have loved me from before I was even born. And so I believe and I trust with all my heart that you died to save me. And that's a huge milestone for me back in the summer of 2002 to give my life to Jesus. And then there's been lots of milestones ever since then of when I was called to ministry, when I accepted my first job, getting to share a testimony about how a baby that we never got to meet that was a miscarriage. We got to share our testimony even through the pain of that, and we watched one of our students come to Jesus through that pain and through that testimony. Because God wants to use those milestones to remind people and remind ourselves of His goodness and His grace and the way that He loves us. It's very similar in Joshua chapter 4, as the people of Israel cross over the Jordan River. They march the Ark of the Covenant out into the middle of the river, and the river just stops. It just quits, and they walk across, much like they did with the crossing of the Red Sea. They walked across the dry land, but then God tells them to go back and get 12 stones from the middle of that river. And whenever they go and they camp out that night to build up this monument that's to be a reminder. And whenever their kids look on that monument, they say, what's that there for? What are those 12 stones gathered up there for? The people of Israel were to talk about the good that God had done for them. So what are the milestones and the mile markers in your life? What are those big moments that you remember? Use those as a way to be sharing your testimony and testifying to God's goodness and His grace in your life. Look back on those with fond memories and remember what God has done for you, and then look forward to what God is going to do for you in the future. I hope this is encouraging to you. Until next time, we'll see you later.